All right, we are live. All right, see if I can adjust this so it's a little off, a little crooked. Recenter it. This there. Maybe a little bit more up there. All right. Maybe pull it down just a hair. Thank you for your patience. It takes a minute to get it all adjusted. Maybe I'll use my face. Yeah, it'll be okay. All right. It's been a while since I did a live on YouTube. Basically, this is just a practice session. For those of you who don't know, I probably tore my meniscus. I don't know for sure, but probably 6 weeks ago, maybe it is now, something to that effect. I did a maxi forward, and when I did the toe, I felt a little pop in my knee, and it was all downhill from there. And then at one point, my left knee started hurting too, maybe because I was favoring it. And I got to the point where I could literally barely tap. Like I had to tap, like just super soft and light, and not tap as much as possible. It's like I was tapping for teaching, and that was it. Other than that, it's like, okay, I'm off the knee as much as possible, icing it and whatnot. I'm on the uphill. The good news is, so I was like really, it was bad. And so now I'm on the uphill recovery. Of course, the problem is when you stop tapping, when you only tap super light when you do tap, and you stop tapping other than that, your skills just plummet. They just, woo! Not as much when you're younger. Like, when you're 18, you could probably take a month off and come back and hardly have dropped at all. And when you're 45, you can't do that. At least I can't do that. Maybe some other people can. I can't do that. I noticed it drops. So this is just to reinforce. This is just a practice session to reinforce basic skills and rebuild the strength and the technique and all of that stuff. So it's not meant to be excited. Feel free to jump in with questions and comments or anything like that. I'm going to keep it pretty loose. All right, let's rock and roll, shall we? Yeah, it's been a challenge. We'll say that. I've had one other situation where I could barely tap. I had tendonitis in my ankle so bad I had to hold on to the back of a chair. And it wasn't until I finally figured out some stretching exercises that solved all that. But prior to that, man, woo, it was rough. Hey, Patricia, thanks so much. Laura, thank you as well. That's very nice. I appreciate that very much. Deborah, how's it going? Thanks. I'm recovering with that knee. Gustavo, hey man. Wow, it's like the old times at Live at 11, man. Oh my. And there's Kevin, just like the whole crew. It's amazing. Oh my. Yeah, I appreciate that. But like I said, it's starting to get better. I'm very hopeful. I have to be careful though, because the other day I was teaching a class and it was feeling better. I'm like, okay, and I was doing Walt's clogs. I'm like, I'm gonna do them with the pullback. Let's just. Man, nope, shouldn't have done that. That was an overreach. Lori, thanks, Lori. I understand the pains of trying to. Yes, more and more. The older I get, Lori, the more and more I understand that stuff. Oh, thanks, Stars Cabins. I appreciate that. All right. All right, here we go. Time to rebuild. Thanks, Gustavo. I'll get to that in a second there, Deborah. Let me hit Deborah's question real quick. She said, is that not tough on your knees rather than light hopping shovels, etc.? Concern. Thank you for your concern, Deborah. That is an excellent question. So when my knees were in their worst state, any kind of heel was bad. That was kind of like one of the worst things I could do. As it's gotten better, the heels are less and less bothersome. Like I would not, if all this step heels and all this heel work was bothering my knee, I would definitely pull back. I would definitely like, okay, chill out on that, because there's a fine line. Like I want to push it as much as I can without damaging it. So you have to push it somewhat to rebuild the strength, so that the knee can handle the abuse. So it's knowing how much to push it. And right now, really, I don't feel like I'm over pushing it. I'll let you know. I'll be like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. You'll know when I push too far. But where I'm at for the stage I'm at now. Oh, by the way, I also got these little gel pads for my heels. And now that's another crazy situation, because I have the Jason Samuel Smith shoe, but whenever I get a pair of these, I always have the heel chopped down to only 1 inch high, because the normal heel, which I don't know is maybe 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches, I'm not sure. What it does is it raises the heel, and it changes the angle of how the ball of the foot is angled at the floor. Well, the problem is the ball of this foot, the toe joint, the big toe joint is shot on that foot. And part of the reason it's shot is from years and years of tapping with my heels up, because generally, if I'm not making a heel sound, I have my heels up, right? And so the heels up, and so then whenever I step, that joint is getting jammed down. And I went to a foot doctor, it's probably been 10 years ago. He took x-rays. He said, well, first of all, he said, you need surgery. And second of all, he said, you have the worst possible bone structure for a tap dancer. Your big long bone is extra long, meaning, so whenever you're on the ball of your foot, it puts extra pressure on that toe joint, right? So that toe joint was completely shot, essentially. And in order to solve that, that was a huge problem I had to solve. I had multiple issues that seriously affected my tapping. So for that one, I cut down the heels, and he gave me a special insert for my shoe. And those things helped, but it still wasn't really getting better. And then I finally just figured out a couple stretches that just changed my life. One of them is, I can't do it in the tap shoes, but I curl my toes under and push forward as hard as I can, and that actually hurts. It's painful to the joint, but doing that stretch every single day plus just basic hamstring stretches and calf stretches, doing those on a consistent basis. It didn't make the pain go away, but it massively reduced the pain and made it so I can go a lot longer before it starts hurting and before it's a serious problem. So I kind of figured out how, basically I learned how to manage that situation. Well, with the knee situation, I knew the heels were a problem, so I added these gels to my shoe. The problem is the gels only go under the heels because I don't want them under the whole foot because I don't really have room in the shoe, which lifts my heel up, which means now there's more pressure on the toe. But the knees are a bigger problem than the toe, so I figured I'm going with the gel pads. So the gel pads have also helped with the knees. I'll get to the other comments in a minute. So back to these. So the knees, the heels aren't hurting the knees very bad. What I have found today and other days, it's actually the shuffle, because at a faster speed, when you do that shuffle, what you don't realize, that snap back is like a jerk. It's like a jerk of the leg. So that the shuffles themselves, scuffles aren't as bad, maybe because there's a little bit more of an ankle work. There's not as much leg movement, but shuffles can be dicey depending on how hard the leg jerks back, which depends on speed and how big I make the shuffle and a variety of factors. So shuffles are mildly risky. I can do them, and they're not too bad, but I have to be careful when I'm doing them. Pullbacks are the worst, because you are literally snapping that knee. Like I said, I did a waltz claw with a pullback the other day, and it was like, oh, big mistake, big mistake. So the pullbacks and the shuffles are more like hops. Hops initially were bad. Hops now, they're medium. That's another thing where I have to build up strength, because if I do, those can wear, they'll wear on the knee quicker. Like maybe I can do like 5 and I'm not going to feel it, but maybe after 10 in a row, the knee's going to start to be like, dude, you need to back off. Ramen Deep says, don't push yourself too hard. You are an amazing tapper and a true inspiration to me. Thank you. Well, Ramen Deep, thank you. I have a lot of work to do because, like I said, I haven't been tapping as much to try and let the knee heal, and then my skills just dropped so crazy. It's just crazy. So that's why I'm doing this. It's just a practice session to re-strengthen and rebuild, and then it's fun to do it with other people here. Have you all here, and I can share my crazy toe stories and knee stories. And, oh man, it's been a challenge. All right, so let's just keep going. Shadow on the accordion remix. What was I? What should be like if you look this up? Just so you know, when I do things like 1,000 times in a row, some of you may be like, gosh, why is he doing this so much? Why doesn't he just move on? It's a couple of things. Sometimes I'm not moving on because I'm not doing it well enough. So basically, as I'm tap dancing, I'm evaluating every sound and sort of subconsciously measuring what percentage off it is. Like, yeah, that sounds, I'm not consciously thinking, oh, that sounds 3% off. But if something's 3 or 4% off or 10% off, I'll notice it. And so I'm trying to get that error rate. My general rule is 5% or lower. If it's an easier step, I'm really going to be shooting for 2 or 3% or lower. So sometimes I'll keep going just because I want to get the error rate lower. In other words, I want to get it as precise as I possibly can. Sometimes I'll feel confident I'm nailing it at 98%, but it doesn't feel easy at 98%, or it doesn't feel, I still have to have a reasonably high amount of concentration. And if that's the case, if it's an easier step like this, so first goal is let's get the execution rate at 95% or higher, probably 98% at that speed. So I want to be hitting this at 98%. That's goal number 1. Number 2, I want it to feel easy at 98%. I don't want to have to really concentrate and think. If I have to really concentrate and think, I'm probably going to do it a lot more, so that the amount I have to concentrate and think to get the 98% reduces. Because as you go faster, you have less time to think. So when I go fast, if I have to think really hard at this speed, well, when I go faster, I'm not going to be able to think fast enough. So I want to get to the point where I don't have to really think hard. My feet are just doing the right thing mostly on their own. And so then when I go faster, then I can do that same thing, evaluate, are we at 98%, et cetera. And then, is this easy? Do I feel super confident in this? And do I not need much concentration for it. That's kind of my cue to move on. The other reason I'll move on though is I will just get bored. Even I'm on the far end of the spectrum where I'll do that step like a lot. I have to be careful in classes because if I used to be I'm working with a student, I'll just have them do it again and again and again and again and again, and there's a lot of negatives with that. So I've learned to chill out on that. But for me, in like these practice sessions, I will push it a little bit longer than I would if I was teaching someone, just because I have those goals for myself that I'm trying to meet. So, all right, Terry Chris, shuffle, hop, steps, and sugars are the worst for my for my knees. Yeah, so that would be the Irishes. Now I'm wondering, I'm guessing it's the hops, not the shuffles, and then the sugars. Yeah, that's the other thing. I like to do like different twists and stuff like that. And those you definitely have to be careful. I will say the friction of your floor can have a significant effect. So in other words, if you've got, I have rubber on the bottom of my shoes, and I won't tap any other way. I prefer that. But if you have a floor with a lot of friction and you try to twist, that does definitely put additional stress on the knees versus if you have a slippery. Now, people don't want slippery floors, but the slippery floors allow you to do twisting with less friction, which puts less pressure on the knees. So there's kind of a give and take depending on what you got. All right, so what was I doing? I was doing the flat foot heels. There we go. You're horrible. So one of the strategies that I will use, I'm going to share this with you. There are some steps like this that I can do pretty well on my right foot, and I don't have to think and concentrate super hard. Like I got to a decent level on that, so I went faster. Whereas on my left foot, it doesn't feel as good. It doesn't feel as good, number one. I have to concentrate harder, number two. And number three, it doesn't sound as good. So one of the strategies that I will use is I will go back and do the right foot and concentrate, what am I doing there? In other words, like one of the things I'm concentrating on is when do I do the first sound of the flab, like the brush sound? Am I going up and then attacking downward? That's generally what I'm doing. I'm actually, like especially to the side and the back, I'm flexing, lifting, moving, and then attacking down. And then I'll check out my left foot. And what I'll notice there, if I pay very close attention, the difference, because I'm trying to compare the two. Why is my left is worse? Why is it worse? What is it doing differently than my right? And what I'll notice is when I do the flap, instead of flex, lift, going down, now I don't literally think, flex, move out, drop down. But that's what's happening on the right side, and it's working. For my left side, what I'm noticing is happening is instead of flexing, lifting out, and going down, I'm making that first brush right away and then lifting up as I go down. Now, I'm not sure if I can, I would fix that. Boy, that's weird. Just trying to fix that, that changes a lot of mechanics. So I may have to slow down significantly. And I may need to alternate, like do a set on the right and left, or maybe just do something like this. I don't know. I may have to go back and forth between the right and the left so that I can keep comparing what's this doing and what's this doing and try to get the left foot to do it more like the right if the right is being successful. If you're a teacher, that's also a strategy you can use with your students. When they're older, the younger ones, well, even some of the younger ones, I've had success occasionally with them saying, hey, your right sounds good. I want you to do it on your right and then do it on your left and try to make your left foot do what your right foot is doing. Use that same strategy. part of the problem for sure. I'm right-handed, right-footed, so I'll favor it. So if I'm doing a combination and I do something like 9 times out of 10, it's going to be on the right foot. Well, the problem is that just reinforces the right foot. It gets more practice, it gets better, and the left foot does not. And so part of this is frankly just a strength and repetition issue. My foot is not as strong on this side. Like I'm having to work a lot harder to get the sounds and put them in the right place timing-wise on my left side than my right. So part of it, I need to do the repetition to just build the repetition so it makes the effort level go down, but also so that the strength goes up. Deborah asked, are you putting out some new student tap classes to buy? Did I see a trailer for that recently? I'd be interested in the advanced beginner class. That's a great question, Deborah. So I put out a trailer recently for our new advanced beginner across the floor series. And since you brought it up, I'll keep this short, but I'm super excited about this because I'm doing something that I think is really helpful. And that, okay, so there's 30 across the floor combinations in this set, right? So it's a set of 30 advanced beginner across the floor combinations. I have a student video where I teach the combination slow on the right side, and then we do it with music. And I teach it slow on the left side, and we do it with music. And then I have separate teacher versions where I only do it on the right side, but I teach it much faster. So when teachers want something that they can just pick up quick and use for class, they have a video just for them that breaks it down at a faster speed. In addition to that, there's also a run-through video. One of the comments I get from customers a lot is, hey, after I learn the combination, I wish there was a video of just doing it. Like I just want to do it. I don't want to learn it again, but I do want to do it with you. So I have a separate run-through combination that's just me doing the combination with music. So if you've already learned it, you don't want to learn it again, but you do want to dance it again, you can do that. In addition to that, for each of those 30 combinations, I have a harder version. So I'll be like, okay, once you've mastered the regular version, now we're going to make this part a little harder and that part a little harder. And of course, I break it down and we do it with music. So it's kind of almost like having 60. And it's like having a natural progression for each one. Once you get it, now you have the next progression, the next level up of what you could be doing from there. So that's my advanced beginner across the floor series. There's an intermediate one coming. It's all been filmed. It's just editing and getting it out to market, which takes forever. And same thing with an intermediate advanced one. That one's already been filmed. It's just getting it to market. I don't have, in terms of lessons, I don't have any more. Well, that's complicated. It's complicated. I was going to start a subscription service and I didn't. So I have a stash of like 7 full-length lessons at the beginner level, advanced beginner level, intermediate, and intermediate advanced. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with those. I've been kind of saving them in case I do launch the subscription service, but I keep going back and forth. I'm going to launch it. I'm not going to launch it. I'm going to launch it. I'm not going to launch it. So I don't know if I don't launch that, I might start rolling out that material in some way, in some form, but I'm not exactly sure how yet. So that's kind of where we are with that. Good, Gustavo. Don't worry, I'm coming back to it, especially on that left. I got to do that. Thank you for all the tips. They're helping me. Good, Ramen Deep. I'm so glad those are helpful. All right, so I'm going to go back and hit the, and sometimes it's helpful to know what's going through someone's head. Like when I'm just doing it on my own and I don't communicate to you, it's like you have no idea, why is he just doing it again, or what's he thinking, or what adjustments is he trying to make? So I'm trying to communicate those. One of the adjustments I was trying to make as I was doing this left side, what I found is when I did the flap, the second sound was happening too soon timing-wise. It'd be like da, 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 da. So I just tried to reach it out a little bit further. Now there's if you're going to do that, reaching it out further means like from a pure physics point of view, it takes longer to get there because you're going a longer distance, which makes that sound later. So a lot of times I approach things from a pure physics point of view because physics works. Like physics doesn't lie. If you got to go longer, it's going to take longer to get there. So timing-wise, it's going to make that sound later. And then I approach a lot of things that way. But you have to be careful because if you go a little bit too far, then it makes it too late. So you have to figure out precisely where is that right distance to go. The other thing you have to keep in mind, though, at whatever you do, however much further you go, as you go faster, you'll have to reduce that because to increase speed, you need to decrease distance essentially. You can increase the speed that your muscles move, but that's only going to take you so far. At some point, you're also going to have to increase distance or decrease distance, the distance they have to travel. All right, here we go. Oh, thank you, Gustavo. I appreciate that. Thank you, Deborah. I appreciate that so much. Thank you. Yeah, there are so many things. What most people don't know is for every hour I do of filming, there is at least 10 hours of work off camera that has to be done to bring something to market. That's probably a lot more than that. I mean, it's just insane. So sometimes I feel so bad because people are like, must be like, dude, he only puts out a product every 3 or 4 months. But sometimes it's longer. Sometimes it's like I go a year. And why is that? Because there's so many things on the back end, and that's just when I'm producing a product. If I'm like trying to switch service providers or switch the content provider, like there's all kinds of things on the back end that just eat up time. And here's the crazy: part of the reason it takes so long is I've got about 1,000 videos. Like if you talk about individual video clips, because I've got like the 300 practice 315 is 315 to 315. Then you have the tap dictionary, which is 350. That's 630 videos just right off the top. That's just the starting. That's not talking about all the lesson series, which is another sub 60 videos, and then all. I mean, it's like. Maybe it's not 1,000, maybe it's like 800 or 900. I have so many videos, and each one has a set of notes. So if I want to shift them to any other service, I've got to move all of them, and I've got to move notes. I mean, it's insane. It's insane. So that's why it takes me forever. All right, let's do that left side. Do some right to check it. Gross, that side one's bad. Coming from the back and then the side, that's better. Thank you, Ramen G. Swingy. I'm trying to do all straight rhythms. Thank you, Deborah. Bad timing. To get the effort level down. That's a brush flat. All right, let me just get a little drink of water and we'll jump right back in. All right, there. Bit by bit. All right. All right, reinforcing those basic skills. I'll get there eventually. It'll take me a long time, but I will get there. That's the other thing, man. When you're younger and you step away, first of all, your decline is much slower. But when you come back, you can ramp up so much faster. When you're not so young, man, it takes some work to get back there. It takes some work, man. Thanks so much, Gustavo. I appreciate that. All right. Beautiful. Should probably do some shuffle steps. Bad. Just bad. Thank you, Stephanie. So one of the problems I have with these little inserts for my heels is that they move around in my shoe, at least in my right shoe. They stay pretty in place in my left shoe, but the right shoe, they move around. I have to put some, probably need to put some glue or two-sided tape in there and fix that problem. Oh man, those shuffles. So in my opinion, the shuffle step is the most important step in tap, just from my personal point of view. And I always tell my students, if you can only practice one thing, practice those shuffle steps, because you're going to find those in your buffaloes, in your maxi forwards, in your waltz clogs, in your triple time steps. You know, there are so many in your shuffle step heels, in your shuffle ball changes. There are so many steps that use a shuffle step. If your shuffle steps are good, then most of those steps are likely to be good because they contain the shuffle step. But if your shuffle steps are bad, all of those steps are guaranteed to be bad because your shuffle steps are bad. But it's actually, you know, I teach shuffle steps in level 1, but I have to say, to do them perfectly with a perfectly straight rhythm, and I focus very much on straight rhythm versus swing, like swing, or I don't do much of the swing because generally I'm aiming for faster speeds, and generally, not always, swing sounds really choppy at faster speeds. Not always. There's ways to make it not sound as much, but if you just want to do that, dig-it-da, swing, yeah. So anyway, so I lean towards the straight rhythm style. But to do them even slower with a straight rhythm that's perfectly straight is hard, especially because almost every tap dancer's natural tendency, especially for beginners, is to snap that leg back sharp and do something to this effect. That is super, super natural. But as you can hear, like to me, that sounds gross. Right? That's nice. We have the nice straight rhythm of the shuffles into the swing, but so often I'll see dancers that they'll try to do hop shuffles and it's all mushed together instead of right. So actually executing those shuffles with the perfectly even rhythm is difficult and challenging, even for me. I think that's just it's an important step. So I teach it in level 1, but it's a hard step to master, in my opinion. It's one of the hardest steps to master. Thank you, Denise. Thank you so much. Thank you, Miss Chris. Estefani! Hey! How nice to have you here. How cool is that? Thank you. How cool. All right. Estefani's been working through my beginner lessons. And she's been sending me videos. She's been doing really, really well. It's really impressive. She's amazing. How cool. How cool, man. That's awesome. All right. I'm going to go back and hit those shuffles some more. I can't hit them too much. Well, I can because of my knee, but in terms of like working on the sounds. Made my legs tired, which is sad. Mercy. Oh man. I was adjusting the on these. I was trying to make them as straight rhythm as possible, often failing. That was actually a decent run through there. And some of the adjustments I was making also on that and on this one as well is how relaxed to make the foot during the shuffle. And there's a spectrum for almost any step on how relaxed or how tight you want the foot. And there are different levels of tightness you may desire for different speeds. Generally, at slower speeds, I recommend a little bit more tightness with the foot, not crazy tight, but a little bit more tight, so you have exact control over how and when the foot hits the floor. That's not to say that you can't do it with a more relaxed foot, but generally, especially for beginners, when they do the more relaxed foot, because there's so little control there, it's all like slidey and scrapey. And however, as you go faster, if you maintain too much control, and by control, there's two things I'm thinking of. Control as in controlling exactly how and when the foot hits the floor, but also I'm referring to how tight the ankle and foot and toes are, how tight are all those muscles as you do it. As you go faster, they need to go more towards the relaxed side. And that's if you train all relaxed from the very beginning, then you are set to go when you get really fast. But I find it's often hard, especially for beginners, to if they train relaxed, to have the control. And there are different approaches. There's a total relaxed ankle approach that basically says most of the movement comes from the hip, and it's a totally different strategy, and that's totally legitimate. Just different people have different strategies. I wasn't specifically taught one strategy or another. I just kind of experimented on my own and saw which ones I got the best results with. And same thing with students, what I got the best results with students. Yeah. Okay, let's keep it. I want to get into. Randeep, loving this session. I know I keep messaging you, but I love your energy and all your lessons on YouTube. They make me so happy. Well, thank you so much, Ramandeep. Don't apologize. I appreciate that. I'm glad to know it's helpful. Yeah, so on the shuffle dig toes, I was basically experimenting with how far out to go with the shuffle and then how loose or tight to make it. Now, when you're just starting out, you're not going to have, it's like if you're trying to experiment between tight and loose, you might only be experimenting between, like you might be able to hit a tightness of a level 8 and a looseness of level 2, but you might not be able to hit a middle 5. Like when you're first starting, you don't have that much control that you can aim for a specific number. Whereas if I'm doing it, I can go anywhere on that spectrum. I can aim to be completely loose, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. When you're first starting out, you probably can't do that. That's okay. But you can do some adjustment. Okay, it feels really tight and it's not going well. Let's try just loosen it the least amount that I can. Notice they do that and see if I can have it work better. All right, I'm gonna do some scuffle work now. I'm doing these, I'm comparing right scuffle the feel of it versus feel of the right side versus the feel of the left side, trying to get the left side to match the right side. Burning out. That's the other thing. The constant, there was a while I was doing like 2 and 3 hour practice sessions. I took them down off of YouTube, but they were there for a while. My ability to concentrate on all that and analyze all those sounds for an extended period of time has also been reduced. I'm starting to be a little fried, which is sad. It's sad, but it's what it is. It's what it is. All right, we'll keep going. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Yeah, maybe we'll jump in I don't know. We might do some riffles, some cramp rolls. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Yeah, Gustavo. Yeah. Yeah. They used to be. This one's kind of mild. We'll see. Maybe I'll get back up to those 2 and 3 hour days. We'll see. But then I'm not. One of the reasons I quit doing that though is like I'm spending all that time working, which is good. Like it's great physical exercise. I sleep awesome when I do that, and my skills get stronger. But then I kind of burn out on that, and then I don't have as much time to film and do other stuff. So it's a balance. It's buffaloes. So we'll see. I might do those. Again. And now my left heel cushion just slid out of place. One and the other. I didn't want to glue them down because I was hoping I wouldn't need them. Now, once my heels were better, once my knees were better, I wouldn't need the heel cushions. But I may just glue them down anyway because I don't know that I have patience. Because they do add stress to my big toe joint, which I talked about earlier. Like I said, my knee is the bigger concern at the moment, so you sacrifice the big toe for the knee. Yeah, I'm starting it. All right, I'll do buffaloes and Welts clog, and then I'm gonna bail because I'm just now starting to feel the knee is starting to be stressed in a not good way. So. Not today, Gustavo. I'm not going to maxi floor. That's the step that broke my knee. And I'm like I said, I push it pretty good. I filmed some choreography before this, so between that and this, that's the right amount for my knee. Like I said, I want to push it up to the point where it needs to be stressed a little bit so we can build some strength in response to that. If I overstress it, then I just damage, and then I take myself back down. And it's so hard to rebuild, man. As I'm doing this, I'm thinking about, people who are in a terrible car accident and they basically have to relearn to walk, or someone after a stroke and they have to relearn to talk or to write. Oh my gosh. The stuff that we just take for granted, like I just took largely for granted. I can just do these steps. I can do them and I can tap hard and it's whatever. I got to watch for my toe. I got to stretch and stuff for that. But it's just having to rebuild. It's like, man, it's like I could do it now. It's like I'm having to do all this work just to get back to where I was, not to get better, just to try to get back where I was. So, it's okay. Like, hey, how lucky am I that it's healing as well as it is, as fast as it is, and then I can even tap this much. Because like I said, a month ago, it was literally like, I'm teaching like soft as I could. I've always been a tight tap person, meaning I've always had my taps as tight as they could be, because that gives you maximum control over the sound. When they're loose, you might get, if you hit it twice and they're loose, you might get like a jingle this way and a jingle a different way. They might get two different tones. And I like to have the tones consistent. But for my heels, finally, the screws are messed up and I can't really get those ones loosened. But on this side, I loosened the heel taps just so I can have use a lot less pressure, but still get a sound, because it's loose to get more of a jingle. It rings more. It gets way more versus that one's okay, but that one's not as loose because I can't, like I said, the screws are messed up with how they're in there. So anyway, yeah, it will take time. Thanks you. Hey, Jude, you're right. And like I said, I'm super, super grateful. I've recovered as much as I have. Thank goodness. Because when I was having to tap super light, I was like, if this is all it's going to be, I don't think I'm going to do it anymore. Like there's something about the physicality for me for tap dancing when it's like that, where it's very physical. I need that in my tapping, like that. I mean, that's not to say I can't do a soft shoe, although as you guys, if you followed me at all, I rarely ever do soft shoe. It's because I like the energy and the power and the I like that. So when that was gone, man, it was like my spirits dropped, because it's like, I can't like jam. Be like a drummer who's never allowed to play loud. They always have to play soft. And it's like, playing soft's okay, but drummers want to jam. So it was dicey. So I'm grateful to be where I'm at. Thank you so much, Ramandeep. Yeah, I mean, I ultimately, like I said, I have no complaints. I'm super blessed and super lucky, and I'm very grateful to be able to do what I can do. All right, guys, thank you so much. And I don't know, this was kind of spur of the moment. I wasn't like, well, I'm definitely going to do a live stream on, is today Thursday? I think so, Thursday. So, I don't know. So maybe I'll do another one sometime, but I don't know when. We'll see. But for all of you who have watched, thanks so much. Oh, real quick, I'm not going to go crazy, but unitedtaps.com. We have full lesson series videos that will actually teach. They'll teach you steps. They'll talk about the technique. Hey, here's some common problems, and here's how you can fix them. And most important, you'll get to actually practice the steps in the lesson. It's not like I'll teach it and show it to you and then say, okay, now we're going to move on, and I expect that you can actually be able to do this, because no human learns that way. You learn it, and then you have to do it like 100 times to actually get comfortable with it, and then you can put it together in a combination. So that's how we do it at all of our lesson series at unitedtaps.com. We've got full-length choreography, so if you want to do like a full dance, maybe it's for a recital, maybe it's for a competition, maybe it's just for a local talent show, maybe it's just for yourself, just the challenge of being able to do a full dance, because it is a challenge to be able to do 2.5 minutes nonstop, remember all the steps, remember all the arms, remember all the heads, and have the stamina to do it and do it well. And if you are performing, to actually be able to perform and give a nice presentation at the same time you're remembering all that stuff. If you've never done it before, I recommend it. It's an awesome challenge. It challenges your body and your mind significantly. So we have choreography, all levels at unitedtaps.com. That's good. We got a lot of other stuff too. You can always check it out. All the music I played today is from my Phoenix remix album at that's available at unitedtaps.com. So yeah. All right. Thank you guys so much. I hope to see you again. It was fun. I love having you guys here. That made it so much more fun than just me grinding away on my own. So thank you guys so much. Take care.